As of Tuesday, we passed the halfway point of Operation Grand Heist, and with now just over a month left on Operation Grand Heist, 1 month and 1 day actually, until we'll end up getting to April 30th and when we'll see that new operation kick in, there's actually still a decent amount of content that we haven't seen. And that's kind of surprising given the fact that we've already seen a couple of major content updates within just this short period of time in this first half of Grand Heist, but what's on deck for the rest of it? That's what we're going to be discussing here today, breaking down MP, Blackout, zombies, as well as some customization stuff that we've yet to see and that we already know is going to be coming in some way, shape, or form. So let's just jump right into it. Let's start out on the MP front, because I'm sure that's where a lot of you guys probably play the most of here within Black Ops 4. One of the first things I want to talk about is actually a new variation of a map, and this one we want to lead off with it because I was kind of confused by it. If you saw the pre-1.16 update live stream this past Monday, you know that Treyarch talked about a lot of things coming, and a lot of things dealing more specifically with the update on Tuesday, but one thing thrown in the mix there was the reference of Arsenal Sandstorm, another slight variation to the map pool that we already have, and depending on who you ask, it's new content or it's not, but with this one, it's going to be the most altered of the maps that we've seen so far. We've seen the likes of Seaside Sunset, Firing Range Night, as well as then the recent introduction of Contraband Hurricane. Arsenal Sandstorm is going to be one that apparently the dust storm and the sandstorm is going to be so strong that you're actually going to have some visibility and sight lines a little bit altered from it. Not necessarily changing actual structures in the map, but just cutting down on the visibility between those sight lines. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out, but the reason why I'm confused by it is because from that Treyarch livestream, there's the brief passover mentioned that it's coming tomorrow, which would have been as of Tuesday, but we haven't seen it just yet, so as for its ETA, your guess is as good as mine, but I would probably presume sooner rather than later. I'm not entirely sure if that would mean as of this upcoming Tuesday, but perhaps the week after that, and we'll get to why in just a second. The second part of that being the fact that we still have not seen that additional content stream. And there's been a lot of different theories here as for when it will come, why it has been delayed so far, or if it's been delayed at all, or if this was regularly scheduled to be like this, but the Mini 14 sniper rifle, or I guess now it is known as the Vendetta, was seen in the mystery box at the pre-release for Zombies DLC of Ancient Evil earlier last week. So being the fact that that game build was the same that we're currently on right now, it's in the game files. But where is it in MP? And as well, where is it in the playable build of Zombies for all players? The previous theory that I had was that this would come at the same time as Alcatraz and Blackout at Night, which we theorized previously was going to be that halfway point of Operation Grand Heist. But with that having come and gone, we now look towards, well, maybe the next pattern that we can peg it to, that being the fact that the only other midstream event that we've seen so far, the Barbarians event, came with 28 days left in Absolute Zero. We're approaching that 28-day mark, that actually even being this upcoming Tuesday, so maybe those two are thrown in the mix together. Maybe we end up seeing both those added in at the same time, but that might be the next best guess for when the Mini 14 and that new content stream actually does come up. But again, take that with a grain of salt, it's just, again, an educated guess based off of prior knowledge. Closing out the more so just MP-specific side, we end up having a couple of game modes that have not made their way over into Black Ops 4 just yet. If we want to start at the very beginning, the roadmap detailed for Operation Grand Heist, even back whenever it first dropped, initially dropped the information of Prop Hunt as well as Infected. Since then, we've seen one in the chamber, we've seen Bare Bones added in with this update on Tuesday, but these other two, and including one more that was revealed for the first time in that Treyarch livestream on Monday of Deathmatch Domination, all three of those have yet to come to the game in some way, shape, or form. And with 4 weeks left on Operation Grand Heist, it seems like we're starting to come down to that one a week where we'll see one of these added in, assuming that Bare Bones is maybe still that featured playlist as of next week as well, because to my knowledge, Xbox One and PC don't have that just yet. So with Bare Bones being that lead off where Xbox One and PC will first experience it this upcoming Tuesday, it wouldn't really make sense to take it offline for PlayStation 4 users as well, because then you're on a mismatch calendar already of all these other game modes throughout the rest of Grand Heist. So maybe we end up seeing Bare Bones continue on for one more week further, then see these other ones introduced in 1 week intervals where Prop Hunt, Infected, and Deathmatch Domination, which by the way, just a quick recap if you didn't hear this from Monday's stream in the video we detailed about that on Monday, Deathmatch Domination is a little bit of a hybrid mode between Domination and TDM, where you end up getting score towards that overall overall objective for just simply getting kills as well. It's a 400 point limit, and so therefore you'll have a little bit more to work with, but it balances out in the long run where slayers and objective players can get rewarded as well. So those all certainly seem pretty awesome to me, and I'm excited to see those come along at some point. But as for the other contents in the games, because there's 2 other main modes here that you might be playing, Blackout is the next thing I kind of want to talk about, because we know a lot about what is up on deck, or mainly a lot of inferences about what's up on deck. When you first looked at the Operation Grand Heist trailer all the way back when it first debuted on, I believe it was February 19th, that was something that had a little bit of a teaser at the very tail end of that trailer for people that stuck around and watched every little bit. When you dissected that frame by frame, you see the frames that we've shown here many times on the channel. What is a group of players dropping into seemingly Alcatraz Island, and also a nighttime aesthetic for that Blackout map. So those 2 things are, of course, the biggest that we can look out for within Blackout, because we haven't seen that just yet. We have seen a spring update that now seems to be bringing Blackout to the verge of nighttime, because if you look at that skybox, the sun is setting, and progressively the next thing to have is nighttime. As well, Alcatraz has been something that's been teased for quite some time, and even with the update 1.14, a couple of updates ago at this point, about 2, maybe 3 weeks now, but we ended up seeing that off in the distance in the northwest corner, right above where construction is at that sort of boundary, we end up seeing that we have Icarus, the makeshift plane from Mob of the Dead. And well, Mob of the Dead takes place on Alcatraz. So a subtle little hint there, potentially, in which we'll see this maybe coming up again in that northwest corner of the map, and also tying in with previous teasers that we saw even predating Grand Heist, where a lot of people were focused more so on the big X's, which later turned into Ghost Town. But there was also a sort of coffee mug ring of moisture up in that northwest corner that had a lot of people questioning what may be coming as well. So that kind of stuff is definitely really interesting, and of course is still on the horizon. That could be coming at any point here during this, but if we end up having another update adding in content for MP on Tuesday, who's to say that doesn't happen at the same time to kind of give a little bit of more content across the board, not just the specific game modes, and segmenting things a little further. Then another thing that seemingly was mentioned as coming with 1.16, but we haven't really seen all that much, is additional after-action report information still to come in Blackout. That was mentioned again in that Treyarch live stream and detailed a little bit further some of the details that will lay within that updated after-action report. We haven't seen that implemented just yet. As for zombies, there's not really all that much here, because we just had the big celebration for zombies in the sense of DLC 2, and that was the big content drop that we'll see for probably quite some time, unfortunately, for zombies players. There might not be all that much more added in for the next couple of weeks and until the next operation kicks in, but one thing that is actually in the game files, or has some assets associated with it, is a Dead of the Night gauntlet. We talked about this a week or so back now at this point, in which this was brought up with the data mined game files, many of which we've actually seen introduced in the way of those new MK2 weapons or Mark II weapons, but the Dead of the Night gauntlet seems to be present in those game files, and may just be a matter of time as for when that's actually released. So maybe it's something we see one larger update for MP, Blackout, as well as zombies all at once again here, or maybe it's something that is staggered a little bit and leads maybe into the halfway point between now and then when the next operation kicks in, so maybe in 2 weeks' time. Regardless, that's still up on deck, it seems like. As for the customization stuff, now breaking away from things outside of just MP, Blackout, and zombies, we still have a decent amount of customization items that we've yet to see that we already know about still. And that's not even accounting for things that may be thrown into the mix a little bit later. The first one that I want to talk about in terms of customization, because it doesn't necessarily deal with the shop, is the David Mason Blackout character. We saw recently we had the Replacer as his own separate sort of bundle, and then we'll get to it in a second, but Misty is somebody that we've still yet to see in Blackout and is another character on the horizon. But David Mason is apparently somebody that ends up having a quest line associated with it. We haven't seen in Grand Heist and post-launch of the event any characters added into Blackout with their own sort of quest line added in. We saw that we had, of course, Outrider added in with the cap and kills from above, but that was just at the very initial launch of Grand Heist. Since then, we haven't seen anything, and apparently there is a sort of black box associated with David Mason you have to find. The actual challenge itself is not known, but it seems like he's an organic unlock that will be coming at some point as well. As for an ETA, again, your guess is as good as mine, because this one still is a little shrouded in mystery. As for Misty, though, the other Blackout character that we're still missing, this one was from the very beginning presumed to be a special order purchase. And I say that because, well, she actually showed up in the character selection menu, in which it said that you can get her from special orders. Since the launch of Grand Heist, we haven't seen Misty added in just yet, and she's since been removed from the character selection menu, but she's still up on deck, she's still in all the promo material, and even as of recently, some imagery promoting new updates, but just she's not available yet, which is the most curious part about all that. So it seems like we'll be seeing her added in the special orders at some time soon. We now have currently that Seraph outfit, so maybe the next one is Misty. But also another character that may be added in via special orders is the Magnum PI Tom Selleck lookalike Crash uniform. We recently saw that the counterpart for the Snitch uniform of Crash was added into reserves with that slight little update to the reserve contents where we saw a couple of more MK2 or Mark II weapons added in, plus that uniform. But I'd imagine this one is added in via special orders, and it seems like we'll have 2, maybe 3 more added in of new special order contents. So again, maybe we end up seeing Misty with that Magnum PI detective uniform for Crash added in as those next 2. Curiously enough, that may not be the only things we're seeing out of the shop come soon, because we also saw that there were data mined game files and imagery for the vertical style listing of the MX9 Patriot and SOG 9mm Great Lion, Mastercrafts that we've already seen introduced, kind of returning to the shop in their current format. But as for if these are daily deals or if they're actually going to be something that are featured items, that's something we don't know. We just saw that the Vampire Hunter was added in for this week's featured item shop, so maybe we see those returning as well. I would prefer to see some new cooler stuff added in rather than just returning items, but with that imagery in the game files, it's kind of hard to deduce. But that's all that we know about the content right now. That's not to say that there's not more stuff coming up that we don't know about. As with a ton of game development, there's only some certain stuff that is shared with the general public, because if you know absolutely everything, it kind of decreases the hype a little bit for it. So there's bound to be 1 or 2 surprises still lurking within the corners in the shadows of Operation Grand Heist. But as for what those will be and when they come, your guess is as good as mine. But I wanted to recap everything that we still are missing within Grand Heist and let you guys know about it, because surprisingly, there's a decent amount spread between MP, Blackout, Zombies, and customization that we've yet to see, but we actually know about at the moment. So that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are you looking forward to hear the most out of this? Are you hoping for maybe another surprise or 2 coming in Grand Heist, or is there anything in particular out of this list you're definitely stoked for? I know that I'm massively excited for Alcatraz and then Blackout at night if that so happens to be a thing, but love to get your feedback on all of it. So hopefully enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. Well, let's end out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.